Hello, everyone. You are asking Ashley. And today's question is, should I practice abstinence? And I was a little back and forth about this because I feel like, I want to keep it real. I want to keep it real with you about my experiences and the things that I did and how I got to where I am today. But understand, who I was yesterday is not who I am today. I go by this: every saint has a past and a sinner has a future. So, with that, yes, I have changed my life. I am, really in with the Lord and with the word. That is the stance I'm on. But who I was yesterday was not that same girl. So, should I practice abstinence? And a lot of what I'm saying is coming from my experience, but also I looked into the view of other men. So, I tapped into what other men think and, what they felt about this little topic. So now let's go to, like I said, I am of the word, not of the world. So what the Bible said. Now, should you practice abstinence? Absolutely. And it's not because, obviously we have the Old Testament and the New Testament. I'm not going to get into it because it's not Bible study. But people, have reading the Bible. You should, save yourself for marriage. We all know that. That's in the Bible. Now, I think that as far as me growing up, obviously I was a Christian. However, I wasn't, practicing all the Christian values because that's just not what I was seeing around me. So to me, it was like, okay, it's this rule, you're not supposed to do this until you're married, but I really didn't understand why. So it just kind of was like, a mom telling you, do what I say, not as I do, this is what it is supposed to be, and that's that. So with me, that just doesn't work for me. As a kid, it just didn't work for me because it's like I'm very inquisitive. I really want to understand the reason. And if it's not making sense, I'm like, bye. So that's that. But for, kids that are in that season, if you're a teenager, your early adulthood, and, you're being bombarded with, all of these messages, I really think as far as saving yourself for marriage, taking like Christianity and all that stuff out of it, just like the real true foundation of why, God, instructed us to save ourselves in marriage, the real true things about it. So I'm taking, I'm putting Christianity in, but I'm taking it really out, like just to logically like explain to you what's behind that is when you decide to give yourself to someone and really lay down with someone, you have a soul tie. So you have a connection to that person that, in your mind, you don't even really see. It's like beyond your mind. It's more, subconsciously you have some type of connection with them. So when you have a connection with that person, the things that happen within that relationship, it impacts you. Even if you whatever happens, you guys break up, you move on, you feel like you move on. A lot of the times, whatever hurt or whatever experience you had in that situation, you take it to your next situation. So for example, say that person that you were with, they lied about finances. Now you're going to be like extra super duper like serious about finances. Like, I don't trust a man with finances, and you might not even realize why, but it might have been that person just, taking your credit card a couple times and swiping it and using your money or blowing their money or something like that. That might have happened in a relationship. You are bringing it to your next relationship subconsciously or consciously. Like you might even know, that's a trigger for me. I'm not giving my finances to my husband. I don't really care. I don't want him in my account. That's just how I feel. So sometimes you don't even realize a lot of those little things that happen to you, in those relationships, you take it to your next relationships. So now don't think, oh, whatever, because people might be like, oh, well, any experience you might take to another relationship. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like for me, the relationship with, you know, a lot of the relationship I had with my dad, I took that into, you know, my relationships because, you know, obviously that's typically the first relationship you have with a male, with your father. So yeah, I brought that into my relationship. Things I had, like things that, you know, we bumped head about. I like had that in the back of my mind. So those things that I experienced with him, you know, I was like very guarded about when it came to my, you know, intimate relationships. So that is true. However, when you have a soul tie with someone, it's much harder to break that subconscious habit than when it's just like a regular, you know, friendship or father and daughter situation. It's much harder to break that. So like I said, those little things, they get carried over into your relationship. And a lot of times you set yourself up for failure because you have so much baggage from this person, that person, that person. You know, as you know, have more experience, it gets harder and harder and harder to break those triggers and, you know, habits and things that, you know, how you moved in those relationships, you start moving in your future relationships, in your future marriage, and then it just goes wrong. So should you, you know, go into a marriage and, you know, save yourself for marriage? For those reasons, I think you should, because it just makes things so much easier when you get in a marriage and that's your first experience and you're able to maneuver the way you guys want to maneuver, versus if you have experience with someone else and you're trying to bring the way you maneuvered in that into this, and it's a totally different person with different experiences, and then everybody got different experience. You're trying to cram all of different experiences into this experience. So that is that. So that is the real reason why, you know, God intended you to save yourself for marriage, because of the trauma and the baggage you bring when you have soul ties with other people. And it's very hard to break a soul tie. So that is that. So I do think you should save yourself. I'm gonna say that. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. I did not save myself for marriage. So obviously it works. I'm happily married. So, you know, you can have certain traumas and experience, get over it, blah, 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 blah. But understand, that is an exception, okay? That is an exception. Statistically, people that have, you know, more than one, I think it's more than one partner. I don't know. I look at this stuff, but I don't write it down. So more than one partner are 80% more likely to get divorced than someone who only had, you know, one or no partners. So statistically, you know, the odds are against you, you know, and I'm still working every day, Lord. I'm still working every day. And again, it's work. When you have those soul ties and stuff, you have to do the work to make sure that's in the past and you're leaving and you're breaking those soul ties and you only, you know, you're connected to your husband. So now let's get into the ladies that were in a situation like me. You know, once, you know, you're not a virgin, you can't go back. So let's talk to those ladies, because that is going to be the majority of people. You know, you already did it, so it's done. So now, when it comes to, you know, looking for your husband, should you wait a certain amount of time, or should you now become a born again virgin or whatever? Should you do that? Now, here's the thing. Now, this is from me looking at what men thought and what, you know, my husband was saying. Men don't like to do more than the other man was doing for the same situation. So what does that mean? If you have a child, so you already had a child for someone else, and then you come into a relationship with another man and you say, I'm waiting for marriage, they're going to be like, I ain't doing that. Typically, men, like, they're not about to be, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if you was willing to do that for him and you weren't married, why now do you feel like I should be doing all of this extra stuff to be your husband? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So if you already had children, it's kind of like abstaining till marriage. It's just, it's like men don't really connect with it. They're not really going for it. So that's just, to me, that's just not advisable. Now, do I think that you should just be busting it open and doing this? No, I'm not saying that just because you have children that any man could get you. No, I do believe that you should have wisdom in that season, you know, you have children, and I think that is a certain time that a man should have to wait, and they have to show you something before you're willing to give, you know, yourself to them. And I think that's very important. And I feel like when I was with my husband, I had no inhibitions, and I was just like, I'm gonna go with the flow, you know, because I was very much, this was my thing about getting to that, you know, sexual level. I just felt like, you know, in that time, like I wanted to have commitment. Like I didn't want you to be saying like you about to be doing this and doing this with this person, and we're gonna have a situationship. I was not here for the situationship, period. So that was my thing. Like I wanted commitment before I went to the next level. So when my husband said, you know, okay, like I want you to be my girlfriend. And again, and also this is another thing. You don't go into, because I did this before and it didn't go right. You don't want to go into a relationship with a guy who's trying to do that with you and be like, well, the only way I'll be willing to do that is if you do this. Because he just gonna act like he doing it and do it for that one time and then get you and then start acting crazy. Don't do that. Because I did that before. I was like, you know, I told him like, if we're not together, then I'm not doing that with you. And he held out for a little bit, but then, you know, we were together and he was acting full. So that does not work. With my husband, I never told him that. That's just how I felt. And he just like, you know, very quickly, he was just like, you know, I don't want to play around. I don't want to be in, you know, an ambiguous space. I want us to be, you know, together. I want you to be my girl and a woman or whatever he said. And, you know, so it was very much a surprise to me. I never told him that. So yeah, don't just say, okay, I want you to do X, Y, and Z before I could do this, because they just gonna fake it till they make it. So don't do that. But I do feel like in your mind, you should be like, unless I see this, this, and this, whatever is important to you, then we're not gonna go to the next level. Because understand, men, even though, you know, they might, you know, obviously have other things they want from a woman, the number one thing is down there, okay? 9 times out of 10, that's their focus. That's what they're looking for. That's the goal. So you kind of have to bring them in other ways, like slow it down, bring them in, make sure that they're showing you this, this, and this. And I'm not gonna put a time frame on it because I'm not Steve Harvey. I don't got no 90-day rule, and it might be longer than 90 days. You might need to wait till you see stuff consistently for 6 months. Like it depends on the season you're in and the season he's in. If we're talking, because that's another thing, ladies, you have to listen when you are talking with the man. Don't do all talking. Let him say stuff. Give him open-ended questions and kind of see where he's at, where he's been, and just kind of really dive into, like, really dig deep. Because obviously, when you go on a first date, it might be very surface level. You know, oh, you know, what do you do for a living and things like that. But you want to make sure you dig deep. You want to know his family history, his relationship history. You want to know his views on relationships. You want to know his view. Like you want to dig deep. So that takes time for someone to really divulge that intimate, you know, information and be comfortable with telling you the whole truth. Because like I said, it's a surface for a while, very surface. And then after they get comfortable with you, you start spending time with them, then that's when, you know, you get to the root of things. So that's important for figuring out if you do decide that, you know, you don't want to wait for marriage, and but you do want to get married. You want to make sure you giving away your little, you know, some of these things you about, you know, give them slowly. You don't want to just roll them all out now. Because if you roll all this stuff out, one side of the coin, the man may be like, ooh, she doing all of this. She flipping and doing all kinds of stuff, you know, in the first week. Okay, like he might be really excited about that, but it's like a new toy. Like you get excited, you start playing it and you start doing it, you're so excited. And then it's like, okay, I'm done with it. Like it really is like a child with a toy. They're just done with it. And then on another side of the coin, you know, you might be flipping and doing all this crazy stuff and you doing all, you know, tying him up and smacking him and whatever. And he might be like, oh, whatever. But in the back of his mind, he's going to be like, she's very experienced now. how much experience taught her to do all this stuff? So he might be thinking in his head, like, where this girl been? Because she doing a lot. I ain't never seen this. So if she know this and I ain't know this, how many people she was with to teach her this? So that's another thing. You don't want him to be thinking, because men's mind, it just goes all the way to the moon, okay? You might have just, I don't even know, watched a movie or whatever and try something new and try to, being whatever or drinking, whatever. But he gonna be like, she was with 100 people because she done tried this and she done perfected it. So, should you practice abstinence? Obviously, it is your choice, but be wise. I feel like a lot of the time, let me speak for myself. I feel like I didn't practice abstinence just because no one was doing it. So it just seemed like so foreign, and so it wasn't normal. So it was like, I might as well, get it over with and do it now, because why wait? So that's kind of how I was. So should you practice abstinence? I don't know. It might be, yeah. It might be, wait until it's the right time in that relationship. It might be situational. It might be depending on where you're at in your experience level. It might depend on who that man is. It might depend on what you want in that season. It just depends, honestly. And I feel like a lot of the people, and I heard somebody say, I ain't never heard this until somebody told me this. They said it's like a toxic purity thing. And it's like in the church, if you're not a virgin, then you're going to hell and all that stuff. No, that's not it. Really, it's really about you. It's about you. So it's your choice, but make sure you make it your choice. And sometimes, we're like, oh, it's my choice, but it's not really your choice. It's really a choice that someone else put in your head. Like someone else is, indoctrinating you to think like this is normal. Like me, I just felt like it's normal. So why not? This is what I'm seeing. This is what everybody else is doing. So why not, I make that choice to do it now. So make a choice for you. And make sure you come back and check on me and chat with me. Like, comment, subscribe so you can see the next time I upload a video. And make sure you share this with your girls or share this with your boys. And let me know if I don't know what I'm talking about, or let me know if you agree in the comments. And I'll see you guys next time on Asking Ashley.